Hello, hello, hello. It's Kamilah Rose with the Bliss Institute, and today we're going to talk about that wonderful movie, Frozen. So, let's talk about some background about my relationship with the film Frozen. So, I saw the first movie. We watched it as a family, myself, my sister, my mom, and my dad when it first came out. So I guess obviously not when it first came out. We must have seen it, I guess a year afterwards because we watched it at the house, at my sister's house for Christmas. Oh, we. So I was watching that first one. I was like, all right, this is really pretty. I love the relationships. I'm seeing why people like this. Oh, this music is great. Fantastic. And then that snowman came on the screen. And basically, me and my mother are the same person. So we gave each other a look because we both knew what we were thinking. My father fell asleep about halfway through the film. So obviously, we see how he feels. But he's also done that since I was little, and including during Aladdin, Little Mermaid, and my favorite, Beauty and the Beast. So I didn't think too much of it. And I was just like, oh, this is getting special. And then there was that reindeer and the Kristoff and the whole weird insta love thing with Anna and that other dude. And I was like, well, I was really glad that was, he was the villain. I said, oh, okay. So they're not going to really just go down that route. Now I have an older sister. I am the youngest. And even in that first movie, I was like, Anna is super hella annoying. Like, I don't know what's going on with this chick. She's running around talking about you want to build a snowman. And I was like, I would have froze her then and been like, oh my God, it was an accident. So that she could go away and then I can have my time by myself because it was clear that Elsa was like a bit more independent always. But she didn't, and they liked each other and they wanted to play. And I was like, this is great. So I didn't have the best experience with Frozen already. So I was like, you know what though? This is the new one. There have been improvements. They've had all this, it's been 6 years. They've had all this time to go and to think about the things that they did in the first one that didn't make any sense and improve upon it. They're making this in light of understanding that the original youngins that watched it are 6 years older now and they're grown and they're doing, older folks things. I was like, so I have faith, right? Plus, the premise from the previews, amazing. I was like, oh man, I'm reading through, the blogs that are talking about what might be happening, about the elements and the whole thing going on with the Guardians of the Galaxy or Guardians of the Universe, something like that. With Jack Frost, I was ready for it. I was like, oh my gosh, if they have some type of universe, like if they create some kind of cinematic universe, or even I was ready for the magical girl trope. Okay, now you're talking about it. I'm 32. So when Sailor Moon came to the US in the 90s, that was my time. I grew up with that. So I am always down for a magical girl journey. I got it with Tinkerbell and her group of friends. I'm so here for it. And I was like, yes, yes. This will give us something to watch. This will give us something to look at. I'm here. Bring on the magical girls. So I was open. I was open. I was ready. I went to see it opening night. As you can tell, that was quite some time ago, and I have not talked about it. I have come to find that in doing these movie reviews, when I see a movie and I don't really like it, I don't like to go and talk about it. I don't want to make a review about it. If I'm truly disappointed, I don't want to make a review about it. But I was like, I'm gonna get to it because I gave time for my friends to go and see it, and I was like, I'm gonna get other opinions about this. I'm gonna hear other people's feedback because the folks that I watched who saw it before it premiered and was officially released, they were like, it was amazing. I cried. It was just so emotional, and I was like, great. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna really enjoy this experience. So I get to the theater. There's some little kids. There's some of the youngins. I live in a college town, so there's a bunch of folks from the college towns. I'm like, that's great. Let's watch this. So I'm seeing the beginning. Now, here's my thoughts. Truly, truly. I liked the movie. I was like, this is really cute. I laughed at the parts where I'm not sure if I was supposed to laugh or not. I thought the whole song with Christoph was hilarious. I love the fact that they were pretty much poking fun at the 90s ballads and the 80s and the boy bands from the 2000s and everything. I was like, this is great. This is hilarious. This is just so fun. And they spoke about how the voice actor for Christoph is some, Broadway musical star, so I was like, oh, that's fantastic. Give him a chance to shine. The song wasn't even all that bad. Christoph character could use some work, but that's beside the point. I was like, this is great. But the points in the storyline, so we have them in the beginning and they're coming together and they're having their whole family game night, and you've got Elsa and she is again the lone wolf, and you've got Anna with her man and the donkey. It's not a donkey. I'm thinking Shrek and the reindeer, and you have that Olaf, the snowman. And I'm like, okay, but that's fun. And then you have Cuckoo Cuckoo, Elsa. She's hearing voices now. It was bad enough that she had her magical powers before, but now she's hearing voices. So she hears the call and she's like, what is that? But no one else hears it. And then they go into this whole thing and she goes into how she feels this call to go out and do more. And I was like, well, that's good because, girl, you can't stay home forever. So I'm glad that you're expanding. I was here for it. She has all these moments. It's great. Then there's something that happens where the elements begin to revolt against Arendelle, and they're fighting against them, and the town goes crazy. The lights go out and the wind picks up and the water goes mad and there's a rumbling of the earth, and so everybody's fleeing and things. And I'm probably leaving parts out. That's fine. It's not that intense. So then they're like, we must escape. Go to the cliffs. And I'm like, yeah, girl, run to the cliffs so that y'all can just fly off. That's a great idea. So then they get to the cliffs and everybody's running, and, they run into, that boy Christoph is trying to propose. And I was like, all right, homie. So they get to the cliffs, and then the troll folk roll up and they're like, oh, a great thing is happening. You must go. You must find out where the mist and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now we're getting into the adventure. We have Elsa. Side note. So I was speaking to my coworker about this because she is a fan of the film. She has a young daughter. I was like, this is going to be great. You'll love it. It'll be wonderful for you. And I was like, what I didn't understand about from the first film, not to be a petty, but to maybe be petty, was if it had been me, who has a sister, who I love my sister. In fact, today is her birthday. I love her very much. Happy birthday, Karima. She watches my videos. I love my sister very much. But if my sister had ice powers, if she could control elements of water, and then she decided she was going to run off because she was tired of having to be confined and restricted from losing her parents and the people in town being prejudiced against her, I'm sorry. I would have let her leave. I wouldn't have been like Anna in the first film, running after her after 5 minutes, like, I can't go get my sister. You haven't even talked to her for like the last 25. No, okay, they're not that old. The last 10 years. Like, girl, she gonna be all right. She got ice powers. Like, I'd be more worried about people who run into her than I will be about her being out there on her own. And then, my coworker, Perla, she has this whole theory about how Elsa doesn't feel the cold because she's got the ice powers. I don't even know. But I was like, yo, she got it. So instead of you trying to jump on this horse and do whatever to try to chase after her Anna, I would have been like, well, it seems like now there is an opening on the throne, and as I am the next princess in line, I suppose that I will have to take over my sister's position, and I will therefore have to be queen. And I would have become queen, and I would have, watched over things for a while, and then I would have went to get her so that she could have some space. Clearly, if she's leaving, she needs some space, right? But anyways, back to this story. So again, we got Anna, who's all, I'm going with you. I'm going with you. She can't let this girl go anywhere by herself. Now, I understand folks are like, but they have the issues with the attachment because they lost their parents and she lost her only relative, and she's just been by herself for so long. And I'm like, I get that, but I also get like, get a counselor. You have a man. You have that snowman thing that's like a pet or a friend or whatever he is. Like, you have other people that you can form healthy attachments to. You don't have to be so like joined at the hip with your sister. Plus, you are grown, and that is not healthy. You are supposed to be able to be more independent, and you're supposed to be finding your own interests and things to do in life, and they can't all revolve around your sister. But anyway, so they're all going. They're all going to go find the mist and find out what's going on in the sacred forest or whatever it is. And they're going along, and that Kristoff boy keeps trying to propose, and I'm like, just do it or don't do it. Like, nobody really cares that much. They get to the mist. Elsa, of course, has the magic powers to be able to part the mist, and she's able to get that done, which is great. I'm like, that's fantastic. They're going in. I'm excited. I'm thinking the fairies are going to come. I'm thinking that we're going to see the earth person, because we saw the girl who had the brown hair inside of the previews. I was like, oh, that's going to be like the earth guardian. So like Elsa can do the whole ice thing with the water. So we're going to have someone, and like we'll get a different girl for each season. And so now it's going to be about like the earth element in the fall. I was here for it. I was ready. They get there, they run into the old Arendelle soldiers. They get the whole story about what happened and how their father, the king, came to visit the people that lived, the indigenous folks who lived in this forest, and how they are. Get down, kitty. Get down, lovey. Get down. Go on. Get down. Okay. How they came to go visit because they were trying to do this whole treaty thing, and then someone attacked, and then they were all fighting, and then the mist came, and then they were stuck there. So I'm like, all right, well, that sounds awful. And then they're like, okay, but there was the magic, the elements, they were there. They weren't all separated before. And I was like, oh, here we go. Okay, now we're going to learn about how there's different folks and how they can do the different elements. Because as everyone else has already said, this is basically Avatar. This is basically Avatar, The Last Airbender. And Elsa is like the acting avatar of this time. It's the next one instead of, it wasn't Katara. Who was the second one? Don't even remember her name. Instead of her, we got Elsa. Fantastic. I liked Avatar, The Last Airbender. Netflix is redoing the series, and I'm here for it. Let's do it. I was like, great. Disney is jumping on board. They figured it out. They want us to be happy. They don't want us to be happy. Disney doesn't care about us. They don't care about our feelings because they made this storyline and said, this is great. We're going to go ahead with this. So then, there's the usual, like the elements start to attack. There's the fire, big fire, big fire. Elsa's trying to put everything out with her ice powers and everything. It's just a big disaster. That girl Anna keeps getting in the way because she wants to be always involved to make sure nothing happens to her sister, and even though her sister clearly take care of herself. And then they run across the fire element. It's this cute little salamander. I love that. I said that's really cute because salamanders are associated with the fire element. That's a very well-known thing. He was absolutely adorable. She was like, hello, little fella. So I was like, okay, now she's got her own little pet, so we could probably get rid of old Olaf. We don't need him anymore because we've got this cute little real pet that we can keep. Unfortunately, Olaf is still there. He also does in the beginning this thing about changing, and I'll know more when I get older, and blah, blah, blah. I don't like Olaf, if you cannot tell. Let's hope that the cat doesn't knock down the blinds or anything, but we'll see. So then they're like, oh, look, there's the different elements, and the elements are angry, and we don't know why. We have to find out why the elements are angry, and we have to try to get them to be soothed. And so, when Elsa makes friends with the salamander, she soothes the fire element. So now there's not fire running all over the place. And so then it's like, okay, now there's the wind, gale. And, Olaf made friends with the wind, and so he was useful for something. And I was like, oh, great, that's cute. And then they're like, they have the big rock people who are the earth element. And I'm like, cool, cool, cool. And then eventually we see the water element. So they're trudging along because they get to, I'm trying to remember when they get to the shipwreck. They get to a shipwreck at some point. They lost that Kristoff boy at some point. They find out the story about their parents. Now, I was here for this because I was like, oh, crap, it's happening. The multiverse, it's going on, it's occurring. We're going to hear about Tarzan. It's going to be insane. I'm ready. they just talk about how their parents died inside of the ocean. It's very sad. They're learning the history of what happens, because there's this whole thing about how water has memories, and so because Elsa can freeze the water, she can freeze the memories as they're occurring and kind of watch them as they're happening and figure out what things are going on. And they see the parents in the storm, and the parents left so that they can find out what's going on with the magic, because they know the magic is happening on this island, and they want to help Elsa so that she doesn't feel so alone, and so they can understand what's going on. And then they get lost in the Black Sea, or whatever that sea is called. Very sad, but also a missed opportunity. Disney, what's happening? Disney. Does Disney own Marvel? I don't know. But I know they've seen the success of Marvel. They know how this works. They know how people want to see all these stories interconnecting together. We've already had it confirmed that Elsa's parents were Tarzan's parents. Why? Why did we not talk about the fact that they have a brother out there, and that they could go and there could be a crossover? I want to see it. Did we see any of that? Did we hear anything about it? Nothing. Nunca. Nothing. So then they're like, we gotta go to the island. Great. That's when Elsa's like, finally is like, get out of here, girl, and sends Anna on this ice ship down away from her so she could go cross this ocean that seems really dangerous. So Anna's like, oh my God, I can't believe she did that. Why would she do that? And I'm like, girl, because you can't catch a hint, because you can't figure things out, because you cannot understand that this connection you have, this obsession you have with helping out and being with your sister is unhealthy. It's not healthy. Let it go. As the song said, let it go. So then we have Elsa trying to get back to Anna, because she's like, she'll get lost in her magic if I'm not there to help her. And I'm like, girl, she got it. Best part, they split the stories up. We start following Elsa separately. We start following Anna separately. I was like, here for it. Let's just keep it separate like this. So we have Elsa. She's like, she's got to cross this ocean, right? She's got to cross this sea or whatever it is, body of water. Sorry, hit the camera. So she's got to cross this. She's getting ready. She's doing her running start. You know, I did a whole little research thing when the trailer came out to make sure that the ocean water couldn't freeze, and that's why she was having such a hard time. Yes, that is exactly what's going on. Then so she finally gets, you know, everything going, and she runs into the waves, and she's out there, and she's hit that, I'm trying to think of what it's called. The crest, not the crest, that's the top, that's the tip of the wave. Whatever is the breaker. It's the breaker. I think it's what it's called. The breaker. So that one you have to get past to actually get away from where the waves start to build up once it hits the land. And so she gets past that. But then we've got, oh yes, the water element. It's a horsey. It's a wasp horse. It's a water horse. I'm here for it. I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be great. Water horse is kind of beating her down. Water, she's not doing too great. Not everything's going well. Then she starts zapping it with the ice. I was like, get it, girl. Go. Yes, get you a water horsey. Tame the water horsey. Gets the water horse. It's great. Everything's fantastic. I'm loving it. She's going to the island. She's there. There's ice everywhere. It's a nice island. Yes, to connect to Elsa and her powers. Here for it. But she's following that voice. And I was like, oh, girl, you a little off. So then we get the whole story about how, like, the voice, I still feel confused about this. Maybe nobody else does because they didn't think about it too much. And I'm overthinking it or underthinking it. I'm not quite too sure. But I was like, is it her actual mom's voice? Is it her subconscious trying to like speak to her and display to her what's going on? I'm not 100% too sure. But that voice it was calling, it was her mom. And she was like, Elsa, you must come here. You have always had what you needed inside of you. You are always whole. You are good. You are great. All that great fun stuff. And that's when I knew, because my coworker is a mom, I said, she's going to love this. This is going to be great. Because she's going to think this is fantastic. I even thought, I was like, this ain't too bad, you know? So then, like, Elsa's still trying to figure out what was the real story, what was really going on. So she's going deeper. And they're like, be careful about going deeper. So she's going deeper. And then she goes too deep. She gets into too deep. She gets frozen. I said, oh, snap. All right, then. But she sends out, like, one final shot of ice, like, Anna, help me. And I was like, girl, well, this is why she always following you around, because you're doing stuff that don't make sense. Then we have Anna on the struggle train. She's with that Olaf Olaf disappears. Ooh, he was gone. He was gone, girl. I was like, oh no, so sad. Because Elsa is gone. She's frozen. And so then Anna has her little breakdown. Now this is after they've escaped because they ended up in a river somehow. With the rock folk, and she's in the cave now, and she's trying to get out because Olaf saw the opening to the cave, and she's like, I'm all alone. So she has her little depression song about being all alone, which I kind of wanted to be like, yo, what happened to your man? But this is why I was like, this is why you have problems, because you're always thinking about what you don't have instead of being happy about what you do have. So in her heeled boots, she's like, I must take, what is it? No, it's one foot in front of the other. It's just one step or something like that. Which I was sitting here when I was talking to my coworker about it. And she was like, yeah, one foot in front of the other. And I was like, that's the song from the Freeze Meister and the Heat Meister. I said, just stealing stuff from all these other films. I see you, Disney. So she goes in her heeled boots and she's like, I will keep going the distance. And I was like, go ahead, girl, you got it. So she gets out there. She's like, I don't know, does she get the story about what happens from her sister? I don't even remember. At some point she realizes that the issue is that the dam was like disturbing the balance or something like that. That was supposed to be the treaty between the two peoples, Arendelle and the folks, the indigenous folks. And so she's like, well, we have to get rid of the dam, but then that will flood Arendelle. But we have to get rid of the dam so that the fog will fade and so that the seasons will be happy, the elements will be happy. So she's like, I must go and do that because she wants to go and save her sister. Her sister is frozen. It's over, girl. Let it go. So she's like, okay, I'm gonna focus and I'm gonna go and do the hard work and I'm gonna live for the people who are still here. And I was like, yes, girl, finally you can just be out here falling apart every 5 seconds. So she goes to agitate the rock folk so that they will go and they will smash down the dam, and so the water will be released and everything will be put back to balance. And then she randomly runs into the Kristoff boy and he's like, what do you need? I'm here for you. And so she's like, get me to the dam. And then she runs into the soldiers from Arendelle who were there before, and they were like, stop, you can't do that. And she was like, grandpapa, because her grandfather was not a good person and he set up the dam on purpose in order to try to unbalance things and to give him more power, and it was just a big mess. So grandpa was trash. So she was like, grandpapa, he wasn't a good king, and this is all our fault and we have to fix it. And so then the soldiers are like, okay. And so they go and help her to lure the rock folk over there. And then she's going through her whole like, gotta get off, like Mulan. And she's like, off the roof, off the roof, off the roof. She has to get off the dam, and they catch her and they pull her over and she makes it. But now the water is out and Arendelle will be frozen. Now, how does Elsa wake up? I'm trying to remember. How is it that Elsa wakes up? Oh, maybe it's because when the elements get fixed or something like that. Either way, Elsa wakes up. Of course she does. So Elsa wakes up, but she's like, I only have so long before the town of Arendelle will be flooded. So she grabs onto her ice horsey and they're running. They're running in the water. It's great. There's a big old wave coming to take out Arendelle, and she runs in front of the wave and she's on her ice horsey and she's like, stop. And she stops the ice wave or the wave and turns it into ice, and then everything is saved and happy-go-lucky and woohoo. And that Kristoff boy asks the Anna girl to marry him, and then she's like, oh yay. And then Elsa's like, I'm gonna stay with the indigenous folk and I'm gonna be the fifth element. The fifth element, I mean, she's the avatar, she's the fifth element. She's freaking Mila Jovovich from the Fifth Element, talking about love, all of that. And then Elsa abdicates the throne. Anna takes the throne. Anna is now the queen of Arendelle. She gets married. That Kristoff boy looks like her dad. That Olaf is back. But we don't hear anything else about the indigenous folks. Not really. The soldiers got back to the city. That's nice. Some issues with this film, besides the fact that clearly there's Anna got some problems. The storyline. What happened to the storyline? Where are the magical girls? What is this going on with these random elements just being these things? But yet, when we have the fifth element, the one that's supposed to be, I'm sitting here using Avatar terminology. It's the the connection between the spirit world and between the our world. What's going on there? It's just going to be Elsa. And they were saying because their mom was one of the indigenous folks, even though she was super pale and the indigenous folks were not, but whatever. So their mom ended up saving their dad because they had some like Romeo Juliet thing going on, and eventually came back with him when the mist rose over the folks that lived there. And because of the great deed she did in saving their dad, which I was like, did she have magic powers? Did it run in the family? Yeah, I don't hear nothing about that, which would then be very interesting to see if maybe they can make a connection to Tarzan, about Tarzan being able to grow up and survive amongst these animals if he had some of this whole earth element thing going on. But who cares about that? We don't want to hear about that. We want to just make this movie. So there's that. You don't hear too much about it. I wanted my magical girls. I wanted there to be more folks who had some type of connection or influence over the elements. I wanted to see it happen. It did not happen. It was sad. So there was that. My issues with Anna, Olaf. Then this is why I say, and after talking to my coworker, that this film was just not for me. And it was not for me because it's not for my way of thinking about things and my experience generationally. Because I didn't see the point of Olaf. He was super, super hella annoying. And I was just like, let him melt. Let him melt and let's move on. And then I was telling my coworker about how I was like, I just wasn't entranced. I said, this is an animated movie. You can literally do anything. I was like, where are the lights? Where are the northern lights? Where are the stars? Where's the depth of the water? I said, Moana had better graphics than this movie did. I was waiting to be stunned. I did the unthinkable. I pulled up old 1995, 96, 97 graphics of Sailor Moon transformations and said, that had more magic than this. I said, where's the glitz, the glam, the nothing. I was like, this is so dull. It's so flat. It's so sad. I'm expecting to see this is the cartoon. I want to be amazed. I want my eyes to be like, wow, look at all of that. I'm thinking Fantasia. I'm thinking even Kingdom Hearts. Just like, wow, like such an emotional pull, such great graphics. Nothing. I wasn't here for it. I didn't like it. So then, they were okay, but they weren't what they could have been. 2019, almost 2020. Come on now. So then there was that. And other than that, I don't even have anything else to say about this movie. It was fine. It just wasn't for me. There wasn't actually anything like horrible about it, but I didn't have the nostalgia factor because I didn't have this great connection to it when it first came out. I did not understand this whole reluctance to want to go out on your own and why everybody wanted to keep Elsa in this freaking Arendelle. I was like, let the girl go. Like, I'm all for people setting out on their own and having their own adventures and building their own lives. Like, that's a huge part of the work that I do with my shadow work and things like that, is that you have to like recognize who you are and become your own self and live your own truth. And so I was like, finally, girl, get out of there. You didn't even want to be there anymore. So I was really glad that Elsa like went off on her own. And I know they had the whole thing about, I guess in the first movie, there was a huge theme about not isolating yourself. And then like in the second movie, it was like, yeah, girl, go isolate yourself. And I was like, I think it's more so speaking to like, it's okay to want to live your life the way you want to live it, that maybe you don't need as much human interaction and that you don't need to be around people all the time. And that, yeah, if you're in a dark space like Elsa was when she was throwing her fit when she ran off in the first movie, yeah, that's not the time to want to isolate yourself because you're in a psychologically unhealthy space. But if you are choosing that you like to have your own personal space and don't want to be around people all the time, that's a completely different situation, and that's okay. So I was like, I'm here for that. I think that's a great message. I think it's also a great message to say that, like, for Anna with her codependent self, you cannot live through other people. You have to let people be themselves. You have to let go. So like the first movie was about Anna letting go or Elsa letting go, and the second movie was about Anna letting go. And I thought that was great. And I was really excited for it. So although I was not impressed with the graphics or really the storyline, because now we don't get a magical girl story, we don't get to meet more elemental girls, we don't get to see the connection between Tarzan and the girls, we don't get any of this stuff that was there. It could have happened. It was a movie and it was made. Will I ever see another Frozen movie in the theaters? No. Hell no. I will never give them people that much money. I will not be buying any of their merchandise or paraphernalia. Yeah, right. I will more than likely, if they make another film, I'll watch it on streaming. I will watch it legally. I will watch it on streaming. But that's the last bit of my coin they're going to get from me about that one. So those are my thoughts. That's why it's not for me. I think it'll be for quite a few people. The storyline between about the mother was beautiful. Family, gorgeous, friendship, fabulous, all those things. Loved it. Find your independence. Take your own path. Do your own thing. Here for it. All those other things I talked about, trash. Not here for it. Don't like it. Not impressed. So my next big films I'm going to go see are going to be Star Wars and Little Women. I'm obsessed with Little Women. I love it. When I was in like the third grade or whatever, and you could do the whole reading for the points and everything, I faked like I had read Little Women because I was just watching the movie and I had no idea that there were all these other scenes and other stuff that was going on inside of the actual book. Fantastic. Super excited about it. In fact, I should probably reread the book after I lied and said I read it. I actually read it because I was trying to figure out where all these scenes that I couldn't remember had come from. So maybe I'll reread the book so I can do a little comparison and analysis of the book to the, I think it was like 1994 or something like that film with Winona Ryder. Again, one of my absolute favorite movies. And this new adaptation that's coming out now. So looking forward to that very much. Looking forward to this new Star Wars movie. I need Kylo Ren and that chick to get together. I need it to happen. Is his name Kylo Ren? Is that their ship name? I don't care. Whatever it is. I need them to get together. Rey and that Kylo boy. I need them to get together. I need it to happen. My coworker still thinks they're brother and sisters, and I'm like, oh gosh, that's gonna be weird. I don't necessarily want it to be a whole like everybody turns good thing. I want them to figure out that it's really important to be balanced and that sometimes you do trash things because like no one's perfect. So redemption arc, I'm here for it. That's what I'm hoping for. So I guess we'll see. Anyways, those are my thoughts. I don't have any. Oh, I will do a review of the Dragon Prince, best show out there. Check it out. Here for that one. And I think that's about it. So anyways, if you enjoyed, what did you like about this film? Will you see another one if they make it? Will you give them your coin? They will not get mine. What movies are you looking forward to seeing next? What TV shows are you looking forward to seeing next? There's a new Steven Universe series coming out here for. We're getting the next chapter of Attack on Titan, and I'm not ready. I am not ready. Did y'all see when Mikasa friend-zoned Eren? I can't. In fact, I'm going to stop this film because I don't want it to keep going so long, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk about Attack on Titan. So thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see y'all later. Goodbye.